My friend, there is another version of you, a greater, wiser, fulfilled version that already exists. It is not separate, not distant, but ever present within you. This version of you has already overcome the struggles you now face. It has already stepped into the abundance, the love, the success that you seek. This version of you has already overcome the struggles you now face. It is what you assume to be true, whether consciously or unconsciously, shapes the world around you. The external world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state. You are not merely reacting to circumstances, you are creating them. Every belief you hold, every thought you persistently entertain, is forming the structure of your reality. The world does not exist independently of your perception. It is molded by it. What you expect, what you assume, must be revealed in the experiences that unfold before you. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you assume to be true about yourself and your life. Your assumptions operate like a hidden script, dictating the events, people, and opportunities that come into your experience. If you assume that you are always struggling, that nothing works in your favor, then life must confirm that belief. It will present you with obstacles, delays, and disappointments because that is the state you persist in. On the other hand, if you assume that success is inevitable, that you are always guided and supported, the world will take on that shape. Events will arrange themselves to align with your assumption, as surely as a shadow follows the body. This law operates whether you are aware of it or not. Many live as though they are at the mercy of chance, victims of circumstance. Yet they fail to see how their own inner dialogue is scripting the conditions they face. They say, "I knew this would happen," unaware that they have only received what they continuously expected. The assumption precedes the manifestation. It does not follow it. You are not reacting to the world, you are instructing it, shaping it with your beliefs, and giving it direction through the thoughts you entertain most frequently. Your dominant state of consciousness determines the people you meet and the opportunities that appear before you. It is not that certain people are luckier than others or that fate plays favorites. It is simply that some have aligned themselves with the reality they desire, while others remain fixed in states of doubt and limitation. The moment you shift your assumption, the world must begin to shift with you. It may not happen instantly, but the change is set in motion the moment you fully accept a new truth about yourself. If you want to see a transformation in your life, you must first experience that transformation internally. This means living from the state of your fulfilled desire before the evidence appears. Most people wait for proof before they believe, but the secret is that belief must come first. Assume you are wealthy, and wealth must reveal itself. Assume you are loved, and love must find you. Assume you are healthy, and health must become your experience. The outer world is nothing but a reflection of your inner conviction. Doubt and fear will try to pull you back into old patterns, convincing you that change is impossible. But these emotions only persist because of old assumptions still playing out. The moment you withdraw your belief from these limiting ideas, they begin to lose their power. When you no longer entertain the thought that you are unworthy, unlucky, or incapable, those conditions must fade from your life. They cannot exist without the energy of your belief sustaining them. The only thing keeping you where you are is the assumption that you cannot move forward. Everything you see in your world today is the product of past assumptions. The job you have, the relationships you experience, the financial state you are in, all of it is the result of what you have accepted as true about yourself over time. But just as these circumstances were created, they can be changed. The moment you assume a new reality, life begins to rearrange itself accordingly. You do not need to force anything, struggle, or manipulate the outside world. The change happens within you first, and the external must follow. To master this principle, you must become aware of your assumptions at all times. Notice the thoughts you dwell upon, the words you speak, the expectations you hold. If they do not align with the reality you wish to experience, they must be changed. This is not a temporary exercise, but a way of being. You must persist in the new assumption until it hardens into fact. The moment you waver, the old reality tries to reassert itself. But with persistence, the new assumption will override the old, and the world will conform to your new belief. There is no limit to what you can assume, and therefore no limit to what you can experience. The only restrictions are the ones you place upon yourself. If you can convince yourself that something is true, reality has no choice but to reflect it. But this must go beyond mere words. It must become a deep inner knowing. The moment you stop questioning, doubting, or looking for external proof, the assumption takes root, and its manifestation is inevitable. You do not have to struggle to change the world around you. You need only change yourself. The world is a mirror, and it cannot reflect something that does not first exist within. Assume the best, and the best must come. Assume success, and success must unfold. Assume love, and love must find its way to you. Everything begins and ends with the assumptions you hold, for reality can only conform to what you believe to be true. There is a version of you that has already become everything you desire to be. It is not separate from you, not waiting in some distant future. It exists right now, in this very moment. This greater version of you is not burdened by doubt, fear, or hesitation. It moves with certainty, speaks with confidence, and walks in the fullness of all it has ever wanted. It does not wait for permission, nor does it look to the world for validation. It simply is, and it calls out to you, urging you to step into its awareness. This version of you does not struggle with the same limitations you believe to be real. It does not wonder if things will work out. It knows they already have. It does not question its worth, nor does it hesitate in the face of opportunity. It has claimed all that you wish to claim, and it stands firm in the knowing that nothing is missing, nothing is lacking. Every dream you hold, every vision you long to see fulfilled, already belongs to this version of you. The only thing separating you from it is the belief that you are not yet there. You have been conditioned to think that transformation is a slow and difficult process, that you must work tirelessly to become something greater. But the truth is, this higher self already exists, fully realized. The moment you assume its perspective, the moment you shift your awareness to the reality in which you are already successful, already loved, already abundant, the world around you begins to reflect it. You do not need to chase this version of you. You need only align with it. You step into it by accepting it as your truth, not someday, not in the future, but now. Most people wait for proof before they believe, but the greater version of you does not operate that way. It does not require external validation to know that it is already complete. It does not look around for signs. It moves forward in the absolute certainty that the signs will follow. It does not seek reassurance, because it knows that reality will always conform to what is assumed. The moment you assume this identity as yours, the world must respond in kind. Circumstances will shift, opportunities will appear, and people will begin to treat you differently, not because they have changed, but because you have. This greater self is not something you create, it is something you remember. It has always been there, waiting for you to step into it. Every time you have a glimpse of confidence, a moment of unwavering faith, a feeling of absolute certainty, you are touching the awareness of your higher self. But instead of dwelling in that state, most retreat back into doubt, into old beliefs, into the illusion of limitation. The only reason you are not experiencing the life you desire is because you have not yet chosen to stay in alignment with the version of you that already has it. When you shift your awareness to this greater self, the struggle disappears. You no longer worry about how things will unfold because you know that they already have. You no longer question whether you are capable because you are already living in the state of accomplishment. The need to force or control fades away because you have fully embraced the truth that everything is already done. The only difference between your current experience and the reality you desire is your assumption of who you are. When you claim your greater self, the external world must reflect it. People often believe that becoming a better version of themselves requires effort, sacrifice, and time. But the greater version of you does not exist in the future. It exists now, outside of time, outside of limitation. It is only your mind that insists you are separate from it, that you must struggle to reach it. But the moment you decide, with full conviction, that you are this person, the illusion of separation dissolves. The circumstances of your life begin to shift, not because you fought for them, but because you finally aligned with the truth of who you have always been. Everything you have ever desired is already yours, held within the consciousness of your greater self. The wealth, the love, the success, the fulfillment, it is all waiting for you to claim it. But you must claim it now, not as something to be pursued, but as something that is already yours. There is no gap to be closed, no distance to be traveled. The only thing keeping you from it is the belief that you are not yet there. When you release that belief, when you fully accept that you are already the person who has it all, the world has no choice but to comply. It does not matter what your past has looked like. It does not matter what struggles you have faced, what mistakes you have made, or what limitations you have believed in up until this moment. None of it has any power over you unless you continue to identify with it. Your greater self has never been bound by the past, never been held back by circumstances. It has always existed, whole and complete, waiting for you to step into its awareness. The moment you shift your identity, the past loses its grip, and you begin to experience life from a new, elevated perspective. You do not need to wait for something outside of you to change before you can step into this reality. You do not need to seek approval, earn worthiness, or prove yourself. The greater version of you already exists, already thriving, already victorious. The only thing required is for you to claim it. Step into the knowing, live from the state of already having it, and reality will conform. It has no choice. Imagination is the foundation of all creation. It is not a fleeting thought or a daydream that holds no weight in reality. It is the very substance from which reality is formed. Everything you see around you was first conceived in the imagination of someone who believed it into being. The buildings, the inventions, the music, the art, all of it existed in the unseen before it took form in the physical world. Your imagination is not a passive function of the mind, but an active force that molds and shapes the experiences you call reality. What you consistently imagine and believe to be true must manifest in the external world, for there is no separation between the seen and the unseen, only a delay between assumption and realization. Most people use their imagination unconsciously, allowing it to be influenced by fear, worry, and past experiences. They imagine worst-case scenarios, dwell on limitations, and rehearse failures in their minds before they ever happen. And because imagination is the creator of experience, these negative assumptions take shape in their lives, reinforcing the belief that they are powerless. But the truth is, they have simply misused their creative power. The same imagination that has been used to create struggle and limitation can be redirected toward abundance, success, and fulfillment. The moment you take control of your imagination and direct it toward what you desire, your world begins to shift accordingly. Everything that has ever changed in your life has first changed in your mind. Whether you realized it or not, your ability to picture a new reality was the first step toward its manifestation. When you allow yourself to fully dwell in the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you are stepping into the consciousness of that reality. You are not waiting for it to happen. You are experiencing it now, within. And the world must rearrange itself to reflect that assumption. Imagination does not operate on logic, nor does it require proof. It simply brings forth whatever is most vividly accepted as true. It does not ask if something is possible. It only creates according to the belief that it already is. Those who achieve greatness in any field are those who have mastered the use of imagination. They do not wait for external validation to believe in their vision. They see it so clearly within that the world has no choice but to conform. They live in the reality of their fulfilled desire before any evidence appears. And because they persist in this assumption, their vision becomes fact. They do not allow present conditions to dictate their beliefs, for they understand that present conditions are only the result of past imaginings. They create the future by living in it now, within their minds, knowing that reality must follow. If you wish to change any aspect of your life, the first step is to change how you see yourself in your imagination. You cannot expect the world to treat you differently until you first see yourself differently. If you imagine yourself as weak, overlooked, or undeserving, life will reflect those assumptions back to you. But the moment you assume a new identity, the moment you see yourself as powerful, successful, and deeply loved, the world begins to mirror that belief. You do not need to force circumstances to change. You only need to persist in the new assumption until it becomes your dominant state of being. Imagination is not bound by time, space, or physical limitations. It does not recognize obstacles or impossibilities. Whatever you hold in your mind with conviction must take shape in the physical world. This is why those who dare to dream beyond their current reality are the ones who bring new possibilities into existence. They are not limited by what has been done before, nor are they discouraged by appearances. They see with the inner eye, the eye of imagination, and they live in that vision until it solidifies into fact. They understand that the unseen is just as real as the seen, and that all things must first be created in the mind before they can exist in form. Many believe that imagination is mere fantasy, something detached from real life. But nothing could be further from the truth. What you call reality is simply past imagination brought into form. Every structure, every invention, every transformation in human history began in the mind of someone who dared to believe it into existence. The same power resides in you. You are constantly shaping your future with the images and emotions you dwell upon most. If you wish to see something different in your life, you must first imagine it with such clarity and certainty that it becomes more real to you than your present circumstances. Doubt is the only thing that weakens the power of imagination. The moment you question whether your vision is possible, you dilute the creative force that brings it to life. But when you refuse to entertain doubt, and instead fully commit to the reality of your vision, it must take shape. The only requirement is unwavering belief. The mind will try to pull you back into old patterns, convincing you that nothing is changing, but imagination does not work according to appearances. It works according to assumption. Once you assume something to be true, persist in that assumption regardless of what the senses tell you, and the world will adjust itself accordingly. Every great achievement, every moment of transformation begins with a single thought held in unwavering belief. Your life is a reflection of the images you have consistently impressed upon your subconscious mind. If you continue to imagine lack, struggle, or limitation, those will be your experiences. But the moment you shift your inner vision to align with the life you truly desire, everything changes. You do not need to wait for permission, nor do you need external validation. The moment you claim your new reality in imagination, it begins to take form in the external world. You are not a passive observer in life, you are the creator of it. Your imagination is the key to unlocking any possibility you desire. What you see within, with full belief and expectation, must eventually be seen without. There is no exception, no limitation, no condition that can override this truth. The only question is whether you will take control of your imagination or allow it to be controlled by past fears and doubts. To live from the end is to abandon the illusion of waiting. It is to step beyond the barriers of time and circumstance and assume with absolute certainty that what you desire is already yours. It is not an act of wishing, nor is it a hopeful anticipation of what might come. It is a full acceptance that the outcome has already been secured. The moment you live in the fulfillment of your desire, reality has no choice but to conform. The external world is not the cause of your experience, but the effect of what you hold in consciousness. When you shift your inner state to align with the reality you wish to experience, the world around you bends to match that assumption. Most people live their lives reacting to what they see, trapped in the cycle of their present conditions. They wait for change before they allow themselves to believe in the possibility of something greater. But to live from the end means to bypass appearances and move directly into the state of already having. It requires unwavering faith, for the senses will often present evidence that contradicts the assumption. But those who persist in their vision, who remain fixed in the feeling of their wish fulfilled, will find that reality reshapes itself to reflect their inner conviction. The world does not create your belief. Your belief creates the world you see. To truly embody this principle, one must discard the idea of separation between the present and the future. The mind insists that there is a journey to be taken, that time must pass before desire can become reality. But the truth is, time is an illusion created by the mind. The only thing that determines when a desire manifests is the degree to which you accept it as already done. The more naturally you dwell in the state of fulfillment, the faster the outer world aligns with it. Struggle arises only when you place your desire in the future, always keeping it just out of reach. But the moment you shift your awareness and assume that it is already yours, you collapse the gap between wanting and having. Living from the end requires an inner shift so profound that the external world can no longer shake your certainty. It means carrying yourself as though the success, the love, the abundance you seek is already a fact of your existence. It is not about forcing anything or trying to manipulate circumstances. It is about knowing deep within that what you desire is already yours. When you truly accept this, doubt dissolves. The need to seek, to strive, to question disappears. You no longer look to the world for confirmation because you already possess what you once thought you lacked. This shift does not mean pretending or deceiving yourself. It is not about faking confidence or trying to convince yourself of something you do not believe. It is about identifying so completely with the version of you that already has your desire that it becomes your dominant state of being. The moment you stop wishing and start being, everything changes. Your actions, your words, your energy, all of it begins to align with the reality you have claimed. And as you persist in this state, the world must rearrange itself to reflect your new assumption. When you live from the end, you bypass obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. You no longer ask how something will happen because you already accept that it has happened. You do not concern yourself with the mechanics of manifestation, for that is not your work. Your only responsibility is to maintain the inner conviction that it is done. The moment you let go of the need to figure it out, the path unfolds effortlessly. Events, people, and circumstances shift in ways the logical mind could never predict, all orchestrated to bring your assumption into physical form. Most people allow their desires to remain distant because they are unwilling to claim them in the present moment. They think, one day, when the conditions are right, when I am ready. But to live from the end is to eliminate the waiting. It is to accept with full conviction that you are already the person who has what you seek. The external confirmation will come, not because you chased it, but because you first possessed it in consciousness. The world is nothing more than a mirror reflecting your inner state. The sooner you step into the identity of your fulfilled desire, the sooner reality will affirm it. Every great transformation, every seemingly miraculous shift comes from those who refuse to be dictated by circumstances. They do not let appearances shake their belief. They do not ask for permission to become what they desire to be. They assume the state fully, completely, and without hesitation. They live in the end, knowing that the outer world has no choice but to follow. The world calls them lucky, calls them gifted, but in truth, they have simply mastered the ability to live from their assumption rather than their fears. They do not react to life. They create it from within. To live from the end is to abandon doubt, to release the need for external proof, and to trust so completely in the unseen that it becomes more real to you than what your senses perceive. It is to wake up each day already feeling the joy, the gratitude, the certainty of having what you desire. It is to move through life not as someone who is waiting, but as someone who knows. And in that knowing, all resistance dissolves. The struggle ceases. And what was once a distant dream becomes an undeniable reality. Faith is the unseen force that shapes reality, the quiet yet unshakable certainty that what you seek is already yours. It does not require proof, nor does it rely on external validation. It is a deep inner knowing that transcends circumstances, a conviction so strong that it overrides doubt, fear, and every appearance that contradicts it. Fear, on the other hand, is the mind's natural reaction to uncertainty, a response rooted in survival and past experiences. It whispers of limitations, reminding you of failures, of pain, of all the reasons why something cannot be. Fear looks at the world and sees only obstacles. Faith looks at the same world and sees possibilities. The choice between faith and fear is the choice between creation and stagnation, between stepping into your true power or remaining bound by self-imposed limitations. Every great shift in life begins with a decision to trust what is unseen over what is seen. To have faith is to reject the evidence of the senses when they contradict the reality you are creating within. It is to understand that the present conditions do not define the future unless you allow them to. Fear grips the mind tightly, demanding that you bow to its warnings, insisting that only what has already been proven can be real. But faith requires no proof. It is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. The world may say it is impossible, that there is no way forward, but faith moves in certainty, knowing that the way will be revealed. Fear thrives in hesitation. It grows in the spaces where doubt lingers, where what-ifs are entertained, where failure is imagined before success has even been given a chance. It convinces you to wait, to hold back, to look for guarantees before taking action. But faith demands movement, even when the path is unclear. It does not wait for certainty. It creates it. Faith is stepping forward without knowing every detail, trusting that the ground will appear beneath your feet. It is choosing to believe in the fulfillment of your desires, even when the world presents you with reasons to doubt. Those who live by faith understand that fear is nothing more than an illusion, a projection of the mind based on past experiences and perceived limitations. Fear says, "You are not ready," but faith says, "You already are." Fear says, "What if you fail?" But faith says, "What if you succeed beyond your imagination?" Fear argues that you must see the evidence before you believe, but faith knows that belief itself is the evidence, the force that transforms the unseen into the seen. The only thing standing between you and your highest potential is your willingness to choose faith over fear, to believe in the reality of your vision more than you believe in the limitations that try to confine you. Faith is not blind optimism or wishful thinking. It is an unshakable inner conviction that bends reality to its will. It does not deny challenges, nor does it ignore difficulties, but it refuses to be controlled by them. Where fear sees impossibility, faith sees an opportunity for transformation. Where fear shrinks in the face of adversity, faith rises, unwavering, knowing that no obstacle can stand against the power of a mind that refuses to accept defeat. Faith does not concern itself with how something will happen, it simply knows that it will. The greatest victories in life belong to those who dare to believe before they see. They do not allow fear to dictate their choices, nor do they seek approval from the world before stepping into their vision. They know that the world does not shape belief, belief shapes the world. The moment you decide that your desire is already yours, the moment you refuse to entertain the thought of failure, reality begins to rearrange itself in accordance with your assumption. The only thing required is persistence. The ability to hold on to faith even when the senses present a different story. Fear will always attempt to pull you back into the familiar, convincing you that it is safer to remain where you are than to step into the unknown. It will remind you of past failures, of times when things did not go as planned, of all the risks involved in believing in something greater. But faith does not operate from the past. It is rooted in the now, in the decision to see beyond limitations and embrace the unseen. It is the realization that the only true failure is allowing fear to dictate your actions, keeping you from the life you were meant to live. The moment you choose faith over fear, you begin to see life through a different lens. You stop looking for external signs to confirm your belief, because the belief itself is enough. You no longer wait for permission to pursue what you desire. You move as though it is already yours. And in that movement, fear loses its power. It cannot exist where faith is absolute, where doubt is no longer entertained, where the mind has been fully claimed by the conviction that what you seek is already on its way to you. To live by faith is to understand that fear is nothing more than a test of your commitment. It will present itself in moments of uncertainty, asking if you truly believe, if you are willing to persist even when the world tells you otherwise. But faith is not swayed by appearances. It does not waver in the face of doubt. It stands firm, knowing that reality is shaped not by what is seen, but by what is assumed to be true. The only requirement is that you choose, every day, every moment, to trust in the unseen more than you trust in the fears that attempt to hold you back. Persistence is the unseen force that shapes destiny, the quiet yet unwavering determination that turns dreams into reality. It is not the momentary surge of motivation, but the steady, relentless commitment to a vision despite obstacles, delays, and appearances that seem to contradict it. Most people desire change but are unwilling to persist long enough for that change to take root. They move forward only when circumstances are favorable, retreating at the first sign of resistance. But those who understand the power of persistence know that reality bends, not to those who merely wish, but to those who refuse to waver. They continue even when results are not immediate, knowing that transformation is inevitable for the one who remains steadfast in their belief. Every great transformation in life is born from persistence. The mind, conditioned by past experiences, often resists change, clinging to familiar patterns even when they no longer serve. This is why so many people find themselves trapped in cycles of frustration, unable to break free from old habits or limiting beliefs. The key to breaking these cycles is unwavering persistence, the ability to hold on to a new vision long enough for it to become reality. The world does not shift instantly at the first sign of a new assumption. It tests your resolve, reflecting back the old state until your new belief becomes dominant. The impatient surrender too soon, believing their efforts were in vain, while the persistent push forward, knowing that the unseen forces of creation are already at work. The greatest obstacle to transformation is not external resistance, but the internal battle against doubt and discouragement. The mind seeks evidence before it believes, but persistence demands that you believe first, that you continue to affirm your vision even when the senses present a different story. The reason so few people achieve their desires is not that they are incapable, but that they do not persist long enough to see the results of their assumptions. They plant the seed of a new belief but dig it up too soon, expecting immediate proof before the roots have had time to take hold. But those who persist, who refuse to be swayed by temporary appearances, eventually witness the unfolding of their deepest desires. Transformation is not an event but a process, one that requires discipline, patience, and an unshakable commitment to a new reality. The old self, built upon years of conditioning, does not dissolve overnight. It lingers, attempting to pull you back into familiar patterns, whispering doubts and reminding you of past failures. But persistence is the force that overrides these voices, choosing instead to remain fixed in the new assumption. Each moment of persistence strengthens the new reality, reinforcing the belief until it becomes the dominant state of mind. And once this shift occurs, the world has no choice but to reflect it. The illusion of failure is the greatest test of persistence. Many give up when they see no immediate results, believing that their efforts were wasted. But failure only exists when one decides to stop. What appears as failure is often just the rearranging of circumstances, the necessary unfolding of events that will lead to the ultimate realization of one's vision. Those who persist do not see obstacles as signs to quit, but as opportunities to deepen their belief. They understand that every challenge is merely an echo of the old state, a final test before the new reality takes form. The power of persistence lies in its ability to reshape identity. When one remains consistent in a belief, it ceases to be something they hope for and becomes something they are. A person who persists in seeing themselves as successful, as worthy, as abundant, will inevitably embody those qualities. And as identity shifts, so does the external world. The persistent do not wait for the world to change before they assume their new role. They step into it fully, knowing that the outer world must follow the inner transformation. They do not negotiate with doubt or entertain the possibility of failure. They simply persist, knowing that what they claim in consciousness must become their experience. Persistence is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, between desire and fulfillment. The world operates on fixed laws, and one of the greatest is that what is consistently held in mind must manifest. Those who dabble, who waver between belief and doubt, never see lasting change. But those who hold firm, who continue to affirm their reality despite contradictions, eventually witness the materialization of their assumptions. The unseen forces that govern reality respond not to fleeting desires, but to the unwavering conviction of the persistent mind. The transformation brought by persistence is not only external but internal. The one who persists is no longer the same person who began the journey. They have become someone new, someone capable of sustaining the reality they once sought. Many people desire change, but are not yet ready for the responsibility that comes with it. Persistence is what refines them, shaping them into the person who can hold the success, the love, the abundance they once wished for. The journey of persistence is not merely about achieving something. It is about becoming someone. The world bends to the will of the persistent, to those who refuse to accept appearances as final, who continue forward even when every sign tells them to turn back. They do not react to circumstances, they create them. They do not seek permission from the world to become who they desire to be. They assume it, knowing that assumption is the only requirement. They persist, not because they need proof, but because they know the proof will come. They are unmoved by temporary setbacks, understanding that reality must conform to the one who remains firm in their belief.